September 21, 2024, Cambridge, Ontario. 1 p.m. on a bright Saturday. Families filling the sidewalks. Kids running between parked cars. A normal weekend afternoon. Until it wasn't. Without warning, 4 fully patched Hells Angels tear across a public parking lot in broad daylight, moving with purpose, not panic. Their target, a small group of bikers wearing the black and gold of the Loners Motorcycle Club, one of the Angels' oldest rivals. Within moments, the scene turns chaotic. People scatter. Shouts erupt. Vests are ripped straight off bodies. And when police sweep the area afterward, they recover 17 firearms hidden or discarded nearby. This wasn't a random clash. This was a message, loud, deliberate, territorial. The kind of message Ontario hasn't seen since the darkest years of biker warfare. By late 2024, tensions between these two clubs weren't just rising. They were boiling over. The question isn't if this war will get worse. The question is how many more civilians will be swept into the gunfire. To understand why the Angels risked a broad daylight assault, we have to go back. Back to the first fault lines. Back to a rivalry that never truly died. Back to the days when the Loners carved their name into Ontario's outlaw history. The rise of the Loners, MC. The Loners Motorcycle Club emerged in 1979 in Woodbridge, Ontario. Founded by Frank Lenny and Jero Rosso, the club quickly grew into the third largest outlaw biker organization in the province. They demanded American-made bikes, built tight internal discipline, and expanded aggressively, first across Canada, then into Europe, and finally into the United States. By the late 1980s, the Loners controlled serious drug territory across Ontario. They were independent, influential, and answered to no outside authority. That independence made them respected. It also made them dangerous, and it placed them directly in the path of a far more ambitious power. The Hells Angels arrive. The Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, the most infamous biker organization on earth, did not fully enter Ontario until December 29, 2000. In a single historic event, one of the largest patchovers in North American biker history, 179 bikers from multiple Ontario clubs pledged allegiance to the Angels during a mass ceremony in Sorel, Quebec. Overnight, the Angels absorbed Satan's Choice, the Paradis Riders, The Last Chance, and even former members of the Outlaws. Toronto's biker landscape changed in an instant. The Hells Angels became the overwhelming dominant force. Except for one group. One club refused to bend. The Loners. The first collision. Surprisingly, the early relationship between the Hells Angels and the Loners was calm, almost cordial. Throughout the 1990s, Quebec Angels made regular visits to Loners clubhouses. On June 1993, at a massive biker party in Wasaga Beach, Angels National President Walter Stadnick personally invited the Loners to join their ranks. Frank Lenny listened. He shook hands, but he refused. Still, an arrangement was made. The Loners would buy narcotics from the Hells Angels. It wasn't loyalty, it was business. For years, that handshake deal kept peace. But the Angels aren't known for long-term partnerships. They're known for long-term takeovers. 1999, the London Betrayal. In 1999, the Angels quietly made their first move against the Loners London, Ontario chapter. They deployed a heavy hitter, John Coates, a 6'7", 300-pound enforcer from the Sherbrooke chapter in Quebec. His assignment wasn't random. His own brother, Jimmy Coates, was a member of the Loners London chapter. Using family ties, John opened a secret drug pipeline, supplying Loners members behind the back of their president, Wayne Coleston. Coleston was notorious, volatile, fiercely independent, and allergic to outside control. When he learned that some of his own men were meeting privately with the Angels, he snapped. Members involved were stripped to their patches, the deepest humiliation in biker culture. One rebel loner was pistol-whipped and robbed as punishment. And for the Hells Angels, defiance like that isn't forgiven. It's answered. October 22, 1999, the day the Angels decided to turn a partnership into a war. Iona Station, Ontario. A quiet rural road, a red light, and a man who refused to bow. The hit. Wayne Coleston eased his truck to a stop, just another pause on an ordinary day. Then a car slid up beside him, too close, too fast. Inside were two Hells Angels associates, David Mlysh and Philippe Gastonway. Before Coleston could react, a shotgun came out the window. What followed wasn't a warning shot. It was an execution attempt. The blast ripped through the side of Coleston's truck, shredding metal, blowing out glass, filling the cab with shards and smoke. In seconds, both vehicles tore away from the intersection, engines screaming. Coleston survived without a scratch. But the message he'd been sent was unmistakable. Submit or die. Police moved quickly. Mlysh and Gastonway were arrested. Soon after, John Coates, Jimmy Coates, McClellan, and Gastonway were charged with conspiracy to commit murder. Eventually, they pleaded guilty to the lesser charge of conspiracy to cause bodily harm and served jail time. But when the Coates brothers walked out of prison, they weren't humbled. They were promoted. They emerged as the new leaders of the Hells Angels London chapter. The Angels had achieved exactly what they wanted, dominance. But not every loner bowed down. The ultimatum that broke the club. April 12, 2001. The Hells Angels issued a decree to the remaining loners. You no longer have the right to wear Ontario on your patches. The Angels claimed the loners were merely a regional club and unworthy of displaying provincial territory. For many loners, the choice was suffocating. Stand alone against a global powerhouse. Bend the knee and join the Angels. Or choose a third path, an act of pure rebellion. Some loners patched over to the Hells Angels. Others, led by Coleston, joined the Bandidos, sworn enemies of the Angels. The club shattered. All hell broke loose. 1999 to 2002, Ontario burns. For 3 straight years, Ontario became a battleground. This era would later be known as the Ontario Biker War, a rolling firestorm of bombings, stabbings, arsons, and executions. London became the epicenter. Tattoo shops firebombed, strip clubs torched, massage parlors reduced to smoking rubble. Cars and homes belonging to bikers set ablaze. January 11, 2002, 2 Hells Angels associates were shot. That same night, a St. Thomas massage parlor burned to the ground. The violence snowballed. Every week brought another blaze, another beating, another shooting. At least 15 people were injured in the chaos. In June 2001, the Outlaws' Woodstock Clubhouse was burned to ashes, widely believed to be the work of the Angels. It took massive police crackdowns and nationwide raids to slow the bloodshed. The Angels claim Ontario. When the smoke finally cleared, the Hells Angels held Ontario in a chokehold. They absorbed most rival clubs, seized monopoly control over the cocaine trade, and planted chapters from Thunder Bay to Toronto. By 2007, police raids staggering in scale revealed their reach. 500 liters of GHB, 9 kilograms of cocaine, 67 rifles, 5 handguns. For a moment, it looked like the Angels' dominance was complete, untouchable, unshakable. But one gang refused to vanish. The loners rebuilt. The loners who stayed independent didn't fold. They regrouped. They restructured. And they expanded far beyond what anyone expected. 17 chapters in Canada, 11 in Italy, 11 in the United States. They survived, grew, and held on to something priceless in the outlaw world: their autonomy. In Ontario, that independence remained a permanent thorn in the Angel side. For 20 years, resentment simmered, quiet, festering, waiting. The fuse reignites, 2022 to 2023. By 2022, the sparks were visible again. The Ontario Provincial Police, Kingston Police, and Brockville Police executed coordinated raids tied to rising conflict between the loners and another historic rival, the Outlaws Motorcycle Club. But the real eruption hit the following summer. July 8, 2023, Cornwall, Ontario. 8:20 p.m. A commercial parking lot turns into a battlefield. Loners and outlaws collide with knives and guns. 2 people are stabbed. 1 is shot. Somehow all survive. But the savagery rattles the entire community. 5 men are arrested on the spot. Less than 36 hours later, another shockwave. A massive fire consumes the Outlaws Clubhouse in Brockville, nearly 100 kilometers away. The blaze spreads, damaging homes, uprooting families. Investigators call it suspicious. Police quietly use another word: arson. The Ontario Provincial Police Biker Enforcement Unit releases a chilling public advisory. Do not approach outlaw motorcycle gang members. Do not wear gang-related colors or logos. Doing so could put your life in danger. Inspector Scott Wade, head of the unit, warns reporters that outlaw motorcycle clubs are expanding at a rate Ontario hasn't seen in decades, fueled by new puppet clubs, support crews, and widening criminal enterprises. His message is blunt. The violence isn't over. It's just waiting for its next spark. Then came 2024, a year that would jolt Ontario's biker underworld awake. July 4th, 2024. Hamilton, Ontario. The first tremor hit on a warm summer night. Inside a local establishment for members of the Hells Angels, backed by one Red Devils member from their primary support club, set upon a man, beat him, and stripped him of his personal belongings. It was quick, decisive, and brazen. But the aftermath was even louder. On August 21st, police stormed both the Hells Angels and Red Devils clubhouses in Hamilton. The raids pulled in an arsenal for shotguns, 3 rifles, stacks of ammunition, and body armor. 5 men, aged 34 to 51, were taken into custody. Their charges: assault causing bodily harm and robbery. Yet, in hindsight, Hamilton was nothing more than the opening act. September 21st, 2024. Cambridge, Ontario. 1 p.m. Broad daylight. Downtown. Families walking. Kids eating ice cream. And then suddenly chaos. Members of the Hells Angels and their Red Devils allies confronted the Loners Motorcycle Club, right in the heart of the city. What followed was so bold, so nakedly aggressive, that even seasoned investigators were stunned. They didn't just attack the Loners. They robbed them of their vests, their patches, their identity, their claim to the streets. In biker culture, stealing a rival's colors is the loudest insult possible, an act meant to crush pride, morale, and status in one move. It is not just theft, it is domination. It is erasure. And the Angels did it in full view of the public. Detective Inspector Scott Wade of the OPP called it shocking. 2 rival clubs conducting a violent, territorial robbery amid families, crowds, and daylight. The investigation ignited instantly. October 17th, raids in Cambridge and Kitchener. October 24th, additional searches in Seaforth and Whitby. What police uncovered was astonishing in scope. 17 firearms, 9 magazines, ammunition, a prohibited get-back whip, a weighted leather weapon, 3 Hells Angels vests, stolen property, multiple phones, unknown pills. 5 men were charged. 4 were accused Hells Angels. 1 was a Red Devil. The list of suspects read like a map of Ontario's biker landscape. A 34-year-old from Seaforth, a 39-year-old from Kitchener, a 38-year-old from Cambridge, a 36-year-old from Whitby, and a 29-year-old from Northumberland County who slipped away and remains wanted. Their charges stacked high: robbery, possession of stolen property, unauthorized weapons, theft, disguise with intent. 4 were arrested and then released pending trial. 1 remains on the run. Police later confirmed the obvious: the victims were loners. Court documents even showed the complainant's Facebook profile displaying the club's emblem, a snarling half-wolf, half-skull creature, and the stolen biker vests imprinted with the same insignia. Inspector Wade explained the symbolism. Biker patches are more than decoration. They are territory claims. They are warnings. They are power. And by ripping those patches away, the Hells Angels were delivering a message to every loner in Ontario. We own this province now. Your colors hold no weight. This wasn't impulsive violence. This was strategy. Calibrated, public, psychological. The Hells Angels, through their Red Devils support crew, were asserting dominance in the most humiliating way possible, reminding the loners that Ontario was their empire long before and could be again. For 45 years, the loners have stood as the last major independent club resisting the Angels' total control. Now, history seemed to be repeating itself because the methods were familiar. These incidents echo the original Ontario Biker War of 1999 to 2002. Daylight intimidation, public confrontations, robberies designed to degrade rivals. The Hells Angels are reviving the same blueprint they used to conquer the province 2 decades earlier. But the loners of 2024 are not the loners of 1999. They've grown. International chapters spread across Europe and North America. They've endured assassination attempts, burned clubhouses, internal fractures, and waves of defections. Some of their chapters have aligned themselves with the outlaws. Others operate as lone wolves. European branches maintain fluid relationships with multiple organizations. And in Ontario, they've been quietly rebuilding, re-establishing roots in Cambridge, Cornwall, Brockville, and beyond. The stakes? As high as they've ever been. And if 2024 proved anything, it's that the old war isn't over. It's just starting to flare back to life. Ontario's underworld runs on a river of cash, hundreds of millions every year, all flowing through an illicit drug economy that never sleeps. Whoever controls Ontario's ports controls everything that comes after. In cities like Hamilton and Windsor, those ports are gateways to entire continents. Cocaine, methamphetamine, fentanyl. Shipments move quietly through these corridors and explode into distribution networks stretching across North America. And where that kind of money flows, the infrastructure follows. Strip clubs, tattoo shops, massage parlors, used car dealerships. The kind of businesses that look harmless to the public while quietly washing dirty cash clean. Extortion, forced debt, intimidation, and protection schemes stack yet another revenue stream on top. For the Hells Angels, total control of Ontario doesn't just mean territorial pride. It means total profit. The Ontario Provincial Police's Biker Enforcement Unit has been sounding the alarm. Outlaw motorcycle gang numbers are spreading like wildfire. From Thunder Bay down to Ottawa and across to Windsor, these organizations are expanding chapter by chapter, crew by crew. Detective Inspector Scott Wade emphasized that support clubs are multiplying at an exponential rate, creating a limitless recruitment system feeding major organizations, most notably the Hells Angels. So the question hanging over the province is simple and chilling. Did 2024 mark the beginning of a new biker war? The signs are there. The July attack in Hamilton proved that Hells Angels and Red Devils members are willing to commit coordinated, violent crime together. The September robbery in Cambridge showed they're bold enough to do it in public, in front of families, cameras, and crowds. And the seizure of 17 firearms revealed an arsenal ready for escalation. Law enforcement clearly believes that something is building. Patrols have been increased in all known biker zones. The Biker Enforcement Unit has pushed resources across multiple jurisdictions. Police have urged residents in Cambridge, Hamilton, Cornwall, and Brockville to report even the slightest suspicious activity. The message from authorities is blunt. This conflict isn't hypothetical. It's happening, and it could erupt at any time. Meanwhile, the loners are staring down an existential crossroads. They have 3 options, none of them easy. They can submit to the Hells Angels, surrendering the independence that has defined them for nearly half a century. They can seek protection by aligning with rival giants like the Outlaws or Bandidos, a move that risks dragging them into a multi-front war. Or they can stand alone, defending their territory against the largest, most powerful outlaw motorcycle organization on Earth. But history has shown what happens to those who stand alone. The Rock Machine tried it in Quebec during the 1990s. The result: 162 dead, including innocent civilians caught in the crossfire. The Bandidos tried it in Ontario in the 2000s. That story ended with a Showdown massacre, 8 members executed, their bodies left in a farmer's field. The outlaws survived only by keeping their heads down and avoiding direct, open conflict. Yet the loners are not cut from the same cloth. For decades of refusal to bow to anyone has shaped their identity. They've endured assassination attempts, internal collapses, and the loss of entire chapters, only to rebuild again and again. Their international chapters give them resources and alliances other Canadian clubs simply don't have. And that's why some organized crime experts quietly believe the Loners might be the only Ontario club with the capability to push back against the Hells Angels' renewed expansion. Because what happened in Cambridge in September 2024 wasn't just a robbery. It was a statement, a declaration, a warning shot aimed at every independent club in the province. The Hells Angels are moving to reclaim Ontario, one patch at a time. The abundance of clubs vying for territory led to brutal wars. Crime journalist James Dubrow noted, "There's always been more violence in Quebec. In the biker world, it's known as the Red Zone." Amid this chaos, one club stood out as particularly violent and sadistic: the Popeyes Motorcycle Club. Established in 1965 and based in downtown Montreal, the Popeyes engaged in drug trafficking, prostitution, loan sharking, and contract killings for the Mafia and the feared Dubois Brothers gang. By 1968, the Popeyes boasted 10 chapters across Quebec with 350 members. That year, tensions escalated with a rival club, the Devil's Disciples, as both competed for control over narcotics in downtown Montreal. In May, a confrontation between the two groups turned deadly when a Popeye member fatally stabbed 18-year-old Jean, a disciple. This marked the start of a violent turf war. A month later, about 60 Popeyes and 50 disciples clashed in a baseball field brawl involving iron pipes, chains, brass knuckles, and bats. Police quickly intervened, arresting 60 bikers and hospitalizing 2 in critical condition. The violence subsided briefly following a police crackdown, but reignited in 1969 when French singer Johnny Hallyday visited Quebec. Hallyday posed for photos with the Popeyes and was named their honorary president. The disciples, also fans of Hallyday, saw this as a betrayal and sent him death threats. Tensions peaked when a disciple opened fire on Hallyday and his entourage at a restaurant, though no one was injured. The renewed hostilities resulted in multiple deaths on both sides. In March 1970, police mediated a sit-down between the gangs, but negotiations failed. By the end of conflict, the Popeyes had emerged victorious, cementing their status as Quebec's dominant biker club. However, this success was short-lived, as new threats began to emerge. Outlaw biker Rod McLeod sought to establish a Satan's Choice chapter in Montreal, earning approval from the club's Ontario-based leader, Bernie Guindon. This new chapter allied with the Disciples to counter the Popeyes. Around the same time, the Hells Angels, the world's largest outlaw motorcycle club, sought to expand into Canada. Initially in contact with the Disciples, the Angels shifted allegiance to the Popeyes after witnessing their ruthlessness and mafia connections. They aimed to have the Popeyes patch over and become Canada's first official Hells Angels chapter. However, this expansion plan faced complications with the arrival of another American club, reigniting old rivalries and setting the stage for future conflicts. In 1974, several members of Satan's Choice traveled to Florida to meet with the leadership of the Outlaws Motorcycle Club, a group based in the American Midwest. The Outlaws, the second-largest motorcycle club in the world and longtime rivals of the Hells Angels, agreed to an alliance with Satan's Choice aimed at countering the Angels. The Outlaws became the exclusive distributors of the methamphetamine manufactured by Satan's choice in their extensive network of laboratories hidden in sparsely populated northern Ontario. This alliance effectively blocked the Angels from expanding into Ontario, Canada's most populous province, while also allowing the Outlaws to gain a foothold in Montreal, enabling them to challenge the Popeyes, who were aligned with the Angels. By 1974, tensions between the Popeyes and Satan's Choice boiled over into a full-scale gang war, with the Disciples joining in as well. Both sides received significant support, including money and weapons, from their American allies, turning the conflict into a proxy war between the Hells Angels and the Outlaws.